singing bird and the croaking toad. I've got a name, I've got a name, and I carry it with me like my daddy did. But I'm living the dream that he kept here. Rolling me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Like a north wind whistling down the sky. I've got a song, I've got a song. Like the whippoorwill and the babies cry. I've got a song, I've got a song. And I carry it with me and I sing it loud. If it gets me nowhere, I go there proud. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about your get home bag. You may be more familiar with the term bug out bag. Bug out bag is just the idea that you have something in your house, a bag, a duffel, a setup, a kit that's ready to go at a moment's notice. So if something were to pop off, grid go down, end of world kind of stuff, you would have a bag that you can just snag and then get out of Dodge. Goof off into the woods until things blow over. Realistically, it's typically not something that I keep prepared because I have a family and 2 dogs and a mortgage. And if something were to pop off, the last thing I'm going to do is try to cram all those guys into a tent in the woods somewhere. If end of world type stuff were to pop off, I'm not giving up my walls. I may consolidate. I may go somewhere where I have family or friends. But realistically, I'm not grabbing a bug out bag and going anywhere. But today we're going to talk about kind of the little sister of the bug out bag, which would be your get home bag, your get home kit, whatever you want to call it. And that's a little bit more important to me because I think it's a more realistic scenario that you would be, somewhere, something happened, and then you need a little extra help getting home as opposed to end of world stuff happening. And you need to go and do kind of guerrilla counteroffenses in the woods. So here's the scenario. You popped over for a day hike or you drove out to your favorite fishing hole, and when you get back to your 30-year-old pickup truck, it won't start for whatever reason. Maybe it's your cam position sensor. Maybe you had an injector drop out. Maybe it's 55 degrees and your glow plugs are beat. Either way, truck's not starting. Maybe your cell phone's dead. Maybe you don't have any reception. Maybe a solar flare took out AT&T for the afternoon. For whatever reason, you need to get from some semi-remote location to somewhere where you can hitch a ride, get some cell service, or maybe you're close enough to the house where you can just trek all the way back home. Get home bag is not like an assaulter's pack. You're not going to have a rifle. You're not going to have extra magazines in there. And it is not a camping setup. This is not something that's going to be designed for you to stay out in the woods, overland for several days at a time. This is just a little something to help you get from A to B, get back home, make your life a little bit easier. So I put together a little bag as like a decent representation of what that might be. My bag may be different from your bag, so your lifestyle may be a little bit different than mine. Your EDC, your everyday carry, may be a little bit different than mine also, because a lot of the stuff in the bag, I don't necessarily want redundancy. So a lot of the stuff that I carry on me or in my car or nearby every day, I'm not going to include in the bag. So you're not going to find a gun in the bag. Medical should be in your kit somewhere, but you may not necessarily find it in my bag, but I'll have it somewhere nearby. This is kind of something to fill the gaps, to help you out with the unknown. So I've got my little bag here, and we're just going to go kind of top to bottom, pull everything out, show you what I've got in this guy, and kind of talk you through the whole thing. When it comes to packing bags, if you've ever gone camping or if you've ever had to pack a bag for a more serious occasion, you're going to find that you're going to want things that are more important, easily accessible, and things that are less likely to be used, less accessible. Again, this is not necessarily packing for overlanding or a through hike or anything like that, where you need to worry about weight distribution and where your sleep system is, all that stuff. This is just a bunch of stuff that's going to make it a little bit easier on you. And in the vein of being able to get to stuff easily, we'll start in this front pouch. So for me, in my little front pouch, I have a headlamp, because if it's in the middle of the night, last thing you want to be doing is digging through your bag, trying to figure out where your headlamp is or where your light is. I like a headlamp because I typically carry a more powerful light in my pocket, but having something like this to help you out with tasks is super, super important should you be goofed upon in the dark. So that's up there in the front. And then another thing that's going to be super accessible that I think you should have is a backpack cover. If it's raining, if it's pouring down rain in the middle of the night, you want to be able to grab something to light the way, and you want to be able to cover up your stuff. I typically recommend something a little less visible than blue. Your mileage may vary. You may want something more visible so that if you're in a remote location, easier to see, or you may want something that's less visible so that you don't stand out as much. But I've got something for that. We'll go over a little bit later. We'll jump into the main compartment. And even though we're not camping, we do want to be able to sustain ourselves if this trek lasts for a little bit longer than we want it to. The idea is that we're going to get our stuff and we're just going to walk home, or we're going to walk where we need to go. We're not spending the night anywhere if we don't have to, but if the weather's bad enough or if you're injured or something like that, you do need a little bit of sustainability. So up top for me, again, easiest to get to, medical. I scooped this out of my truck. This is not something I typically keep in this bag, but it is something I keep nearby. So just for this video, I poked it in the bag. You're going to want something to keep yourself dry. This is just a Frog Togs poncho. I also recommend these Mountain Hardwear, I think it is. Mountain Hardwear is typically what I just keep in my car. These things are just a rain jacket. It's super lightweight. Pick your colors. If you want to blend in a little more, find you a more neutral color, find you a more earthy color. If you want to stick out a little bit more, depending on where you are, what your situation is, choose a different color. Socks. This is a no-brainer. Nice wool socks, merino wool or similar, because if your feet get wet, you're going to have a bad time. We're not camping, but a way to purify water is kind of non-negotiable. I like these little Sawyer Life Straws. This is a Sawyer Mini. They work great. It's going to get you by. It's not going to fix everything. It's not going to filter everything, but it is a really good place to start as opposed to just drinking out of a mud hole. If you wanted to go even lighter and you don't mind the taste, potable aqua, these little tablets are also super good as well. And I've just got a little bladder in there as well so that I could fill it up and easily take it with me. Just a little way to store water is super important. Typically in my EDC, I'll have like a Nalgene, or I am a little Stanley girly, so a lot of the times I'll have either a Stanley or Nalgene, something like that I'll be able to carry water in, but you still need a way to filter it. My actual preference are the Grail bottles. I'll roll one in now. I have one of them that I have misplaced. So that got packed somewhere last time we went camping, and I don't know where it is right now. But that is my preference, are the Grail bottles, because it's a filter and it's a bottle. As long as you clean it out, keep it dry, you can store those things in your bag. It's not going to hurt anything. And same deal, water's going to keep you alive, but if you're going any extended period of time, if you're going to be walking, trekking, calories are important. So a way to replenish just a little bit of calories, a protein bar, some gummies. Gummies are cheap energy, sugary. I like gummies for outdoor activities and stuff like that. Something so that when you're walking, you're burning calories, you can put that back in. Sorry about that. I had to shuffle some stuff around, so if anything looks a little different, the lighting looks a little different, you just have to forgive me. I hate to keep repeating it, but this is going to be dependent on your EDC as well. Battery bank, charging your phone and stuff. I usually keep that somewhere in the rotation. This one is specific to me, and this is in no specific order. Once we get past medical, flashlights, rain gear, everything else in here as we go down is just going to be packed in here in no particular order. But specific to me, because we are down here in Georgia, is a head net to keep the mosquitoes, gnats, and stuff like that out of your face. Bugs, flying gnats, flying insects, that's just insult to injury at a certain point. So cheap little bug net is an easy recommendation. Pair of gloves, you never know. These aren't necessarily for cold weather, just because, again, we're in South, we're in Georgia. It doesn't really get that cold, but being able to cover up your hands just in case you have to do some work, change a tire, move some limbs, drag chain, whatever you need. Gloves, easy recommendation to keep in the bag as well. You can't really tell, but these are wet wipes. I really like these combat wipes is what they call them. I've used them a lot for camping. They're supposed to be biodegradable, so if you need to clean your hands off, do a little light wound cleaning, or handle your business in the woods, having a wet wipe definitely helps. Trash bag. Trash bag can be used for a lot of stuff. It can be used as ground cover if you need to take a quick break, policing anything you might find or need, storing wet clothes in your bag. For instance, you get rained on, you gotta change your socks, tossing them in here to make sure that everything else in your bag doesn't get soaking wet. Duct tape, it doesn't have to be a lot, but duct tape fixes everything. Whenever I get like a half roll or a quarter roll, something like this, I'll start tossing them places, put them in bags, put them in your car. Easy way to repair something if you need it, lash something down. That might actually get you back on the road. And again, we're not camping, so get that out of your mind. We're not camping, but I like to carry a tarp. This one is actually a little too big. This doesn't always stay packed in a bag. This is just representative. I usually like a smaller one. It can be used as ground cover. It can be used as an impromptu shelter if you need to just hang out where you are, if the weather is too bad for whatever reason. Just a way to keep you out of the elements is going to go a long way in making whatever time you have to spend outside a little bit easier. I don't typically pack this one. This is a little big. It's just in the bag for representation. I usually like to carry rain tarps for hammocks. They usually come with strings. They pack down really small. You can use it as a little shelter, a little rain fly. That's actually my recommendation, but this is a super cheap alternative because some of those can get expensive. So this is a super cheap alternative. Go to Harbor Freight, grab you a couple small tarps, just stick them places. They're super handy. Cordage, if you're not running a rain fly, if you have a tarp or something like that, a little bit of cordage to make putting that up a little bit easier definitely helps. And this is kind of my secret weapon. This is a Silky Pocket Boy. It's just a small hand saw. If you've ever read Hatchet or the sequel Brian's Winter, you know that having a way to process wood is super important in an emergency situation. This may never come up, and I typically carry a pocket knife, so having a knife on you to do your cordage and do all your kind of basic tasks is kind of a given. But having something that's a little bit more robust, a little bit more capable to clear brush, make a little shelter. If you've got a Honda Civic and you dip a tire into a ditch and you just need to get that out, you can use this to reclaim a couple limbs, make you a little ramp, make you something to get some traction on, and that might get you back on the road as well. Easy, a lighter, Bic, grab a couple at a gas station, stick them everywhere. Again, emergency stuff, if you need to make a little fire, having a lighter makes that super simple. Next couple things are going to be kind of situational. I typically do carry some extra ammunition. I know I said that we're not packing magazines and stuff like that. We're not. I keep a Glock 17 mag because most of the stuff I'm running is going to be a 17 or a 19, or at the very least is going to be a 9mm. So you'll be able to backfeed out of this instead of having loose rounds, instead of having a box of ammunition. Glock 17 mag just to augment your EDC. Make sure you have a couple spare rounds if you need them. One thing that people often forget is going to be medicine. So this is just melatonin. This is just a stand-in. But if you've got blood pressure medicine, or if you carry a rescue inhaler, something like that, if you've got asthma, if you've got medicine that you rely on, wait till you have a couple of them left, couple pills left, set that bottle aside, poke it in a bag, because if you do need to spend the night somewhere, or if it's a day before you're able to get back to your house, making sure that you're staying on your meds, whatever your doctor recommends, can be important as well. And the last thing I have in here is just kind of a a cheeky little thing that I carry. I do carry this camping, but this also plays well in kind of this situation. It's just camo netting or a scrim, whatever you want to call it. That way, if you're walking through somewhere and you don't want to be seen carrying a bag, this is not to get gillied up and play Call of Duty, but if you need to stash your bag somewhere, step off the road, step off the trail, poke your bag somewhere, cover it with a little bit of scrim, makes it really, really tough to pick out. And that way you can just leave your bag, run to the store, whatever you need, or walk away, gather some water, whatever you need, and less likely that if someone were to stumble across your bag, that they would find it. One of the main reasons I'm not going to advocate for necessarily carrying a firearm in a bag, especially not one that you keep in every vehicle, is that this stuff can be easily replaced. It's all pretty well cheap, and if someone walks away with this, man, that's going to stink because it is some money. But you don't have to worry about your stolen firearm showing up on the news. So typically, I keep my gun on me in my EDC, and this stuff can just bang around wherever I need it to. Some stuff that's not in the bag, but is typically in my EDC or nearby. It's going to be a multi-tool. Who knows when you need a little screwdriver and a notepad, pen, paper. Just something to be able to scribble some notes down, where you left your car, if you're leaving your car saying, hey, I'm going to come get this later, please don't tow my stuff. So that's it. This does seem like a lot of stuff once it's all kind of piled out on the table, but make some budget choices. I'm sure you have a backpack that's just hanging around somewhere, not being used. Use this as kind of a list to go by. Make it, tailor it to your specific application, tailor it to augment your everyday carry. And that way, if you have to make a trek back, you're not completely and totally empty-handed. So if I forgot something, or if there's something that you carry in your bag or you think that my bag's missing, let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.
Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I've got a name, I've got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad, I've got a name, I've got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did, but I'm living the dream.